Hello, welcome to Crew Business Chats, and today's special guest is Mr. Ian. Welcome, Ian.
Hi, Chris.
Hi.
Thanks for inviting me.
You're welcome. How are you feeling?
A little bit nervous. You know, I'm not keen on cameras, but we'll see how we get on.
Yeah, of course we will. You'll be fine.
So I'm the Sports and Wellbeing Coordinator for Aspire, which I've been doing for just over 2 years. Before that I was a sport worker for about 15 years before that, working in the east of the city. So I only really met you once I started doing this job, didn't I?
You
I came over to the west, and I remember, if I remember rightly, the first thing you asked me was, got any jobs going?
That's correct. I did.
You did. And as I say, you're doing well, these podcasts. Yeah, I've heard it's going very well. Yeah, so it's the Sports and Wellbeing Coordinator job. It's the first time it's been done with Aspire, so I haven't got any shoes to fill, which is good. Although in a way I was filling Tim's when I first started, which are big shoes to fill, Tim Snell. So a lot of the stuff that I do now are the things that he was leading on, like the football tournament, things like that. But obviously it's a city-wide role, so I'm all over, and literally I'm all over the city. So I've got tennis sessions in Rothwell, rugby sessions in Kirkstall. Making myself useful wherever I can.
So, Ian, what's your favourite sports?
I'm into all kinds of sports really. Anyone who watches the sports roundup will say that, because I'm pulling up all kinds of things. At the moment, this time of year I always like to show the winter sports, and it's not, when I was a kid it was just skiing. I used to love watching Ski Sunday on a Sunday afternoon. I'm big into football. Well, not as much as I used to be. I think football at the top level isn't quite as interesting as it used to be to me, but kind of, junior football, local football, things like that, I love getting involved in them.
So, Ian, are you a sports kind of guy? Is there anything?
Yeah, I play a little bit. I'm not a particularly high level, but it's all about enthusiasm. It's all about keeping fit. I mean, what about you? Do you have a favourite sport?
I like a bit of wrestling.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I like wrestling. Pay-per-views, quite regularly I do watch them.
Right. They're usually quite late night out there, the pay-per-views. Yeah. Do you have a favourite wrestler?
Yeah, so some quite a few that I quite like.
Right. I mean, I see some of the wrestling. I know loads of people who are big wrestling fans. But to me, wrestling's still Saturday afternoon on World of Sport with Big Daddy and Giant Haystacks. And my favourite, Cyanide Sid Cooper. Always had the skull and crossbones. I remember he always had the skull and crossbones on his wristbands. But yeah, I mean, I watch all kinds of sports. I mean, it literally depends on what time of year it is. When the Olympics comes round, anyone who's working when the Olympics is on knows that I'm always kind of let's get it on, let's watch it, let's get the flags up on the wall. The Paralympics. I mean, I've been watching the Paralympics for years. My favourite athletes, when it comes to things like that, I love the way Britain have got this way of bringing out athletes who look like you could push it, like a decent gust of wind had blown over, but they're absolute. The winners. They just want to look at the Brownlee brothers. You'd think someone would take their dinner money off them at school every day, but look, they do all that.
Only one side.
One of my absolute favourites when it comes to that, looking like butter wouldn't melt, but being absolute kind of killer instinct sportsman, Sophie Hahn, who's Paralympian. She's got cerebral palsy. She looks, she's tiny, she's skinny, but she's got this look in her eye that says, "I'm going to win." And for the last 10 years, she's won absolutely everything. She's one of my favourites. But yeah, all sorts. Hannah Cockcroft in the wheelchair racing. I was boxing. I always used to watch boxing with my dad when I was a kid, and I still watch a lot of boxing now. So yeah, I mean, if there's a sport, chances are I've watched it. My mum was big into tennis and athletics, so tennis and athletics have always been big for me. So yeah, I keep an eye on lots of sports, and they don't always get on the telly, but on my sports roundup on a Monday morning, they get on.
So Ian, why is sports important to people with learning disabilities?
I mean, for the same reason it's important to everybody else. I would have said, we keep fit, socialising. That's always about. I mean, as much as keeping fit and getting better at your sport, spending time with people, especially if it's a team sport, and you get that kind of club atmosphere. It's important for all kinds of things. It's good for your mental health as well as your physical health. Good exercise will do that for you, especially on all those days when you just feel like you can't be bothered. sometimes you can just force yourself to get up and go for a run, even just do a little bit of exercise, because there's all kinds of different. You don't have to be able to run around a room to do sport, to do exercise. One of the things I did when I first started working in disabilities was we used to do because I worked in the physical disability centre, which is closed now. When I first started, and we used to do a chair-based exercise group, and the guy used to come in and do Tai Chi with us. Do you know Tai Chi?
Never.
Yeah, it's like a very, very, very slow martial art. It's just my speed, really. And that's fantastic. It's really good. You don't realise you're doing the exercise. You feel like you just move your arms slightly, and then as it goes on, you kind of feel the heat building up your legs, and you're getting more and more exercise. So even if you're not capable, if you're not able to run for miles, you can still do some kind of sport.
How can people with disabilities sing or get involved in sports?
Well, yeah, I mean that is a good point. I mean, have you heard that phrase? You need to see it to be it.
I think I have.
Yeah. So people who maybe they're interested in something. It's not just sport, but unless they can see someone like them has already done it. So that's where people like Tanny Gray Thompson come in. Wheelchair races from many years ago. But yeah, there's a lot more to it than that. It's just making it more visible all over, really. I mean, if you do, the Olympics is on every 4 years. The Paralympics being on, that's quite a new thing. So you get like inspirational people you see all the time. I mean, I've met people who wouldn't really have had that opportunity, and I think once you see it, you can be it. So yeah, there's lots of that. I mean, one of the people that we worked with a little bit this year is a group called International Mixed Ability Sport. Now, it's not always easy to get this sorted out, but one of the things that they would really like to do is have local clubs, rather than having to start a disability sports club, have local clubs have a disability section where people can all work together. So we've been doing some racquetball sessions down at Chapel Allerton Tennis Club just round the corner. It's fantastic. It's really it's good to be able to get together with other people, play a bit of sport, and you'll find that not necessarily you don't have to have segregated sports. Like I say, I started playing football off the back of these sessions that we used to do on a Friday morning, and we all used to play together. And some of the guys who used to turn up, some of the adults with learning disabilities, let's be honest, they're better footballers than I am. I'm not a great footballer. I just do it for enthusiasm. You don't have to be absolutely brilliant to do something. You just need to take part. And I suppose the more people see that happening, and the more they see that there's opportunities to do it, the more likely it is to happen.
What else do we work for?
Well, I mean, we work with lots of different groups. Obviously, Leeds Rhinos Foundation is the big one that we have the most that we do the most work with. We have a tag rugby tournament, which we had at Headingley through the summer. We're hoping to make that an annual event again. But there's also, like I say, that Learning Disability Super League team, which play every week. But they don't just train every week. We have festivals. I mean, some guys from Aspire have played as far as Manchester, Newcastle, Hull, all this year, just going to some of the festivals that they do. I don't know who else. So Leeds Rhinos, Leeds United Foundation, we have a little bit of involvement. We were desperately trying to get a football session sorted out with them again, as we used to have. But in the meantime, they get us all the tickets for the football, which makes a lot of people very happy, and encourages some people to take part as well. I think once they've watched it played. Who else do we work with sport-wise? So yeah, Chapel Allerton Tennis Club, like I say, International Mixed Ability Sport. Because my job is sport and wellbeing. It's not just sport. So there's other people and there's other ways of getting involved in exercise. Because a lot of people don't really like sport, but there's other things that will get them up on their feet. Dance is one of those. I know you're a bit of a keen dancer at times, aren't you? Yeah, I've seen you cutting a rug. Yeah. So we work with Yorkshire Dance, and that's got lots of people getting involved in some really good physical exercise. We work with some drama groups as well, and drama has the same effect to getting people up and getting involved. I mean, I'm trying to think of more now, but yeah, there's quite a lot. We went to the Yorkshire Dales I suppose that's not something we've done with Aspire yet, but hopefully next summer. I made a link with a group at Yorkshire Dales who provide a bit of funding to get transport out there, because that's a bit of a problem sometimes if you want to go out for a walk in the countryside. I mean, we've got some nice countryside around Leeds, but it tends to be, quite small, well, say smaller parks, small on the scale of the Dales, or they tend to be quite hilly, but there's places in the Dales where you can go, there's accessible walks, and hopefully I'll be able to find get some more information on how we can maybe get some funding to fund some transport up there, for groups to go up there and enjoy the countryside,
Yeah,
which again is really good exercise. You know, you don't realise it's exercise when you're doing it. It's only when you stop and you look around and you see how wonderful all the scenery is, and then realise your heart's going a little bit faster because you've had to walk up a hill to see it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So is there any sessions that we do in Aspire?
Well, yeah, I mean, we've got a couple since the online started. We have a couple, let's be honest, I can't claim any credit for because they've been running for a long time, although there's more and more of them now, which is sports groups that people do at their own basis. I mean, you go up to the local leisure centre, I believe, every Thursday for a Zumba session.
I do.
And is it doing you the world of good?
Yeah. It's retiring, but it seems to be really good.
Tiring and good exercises is exactly how it should be. And we have all kinds of groups all over the city doing things like swimming, doing boccia, trampolining. I know there's a few places that go trampolining, which that is really good. It's hard work. I find that hard work, but it's good exercise. We have tennis sessions, which I run at various places around the city. The group at Rothwell, it's quite a small group, but everyone's really keen. The group at Cross Gates that I do, I mean, we've worked out. It's actually quite a good way when you get in a big group together and you can work in pairs of people who are recovering from illness maybe or some kind of physical condition that's been holding them back a little bit. Once they start to recover, sport's a really good way of promoting that recovery and improving it. But yeah, I mean, anything sport, anything active is sport. You know, whether it's even if it's just rolling the ball from one end to the other of a table. You know, if you've got a profound physical disabilities as well, anything that's going to help that motor skills and things like that is going to be really good. That's something I'm hoping to work for in the future. But we've got, I mean, not really a sporting thing, but have you heard of the happiness programme?
No.
So the happiness programme is a projector, so if we set it up above this table, it'd put a picture on the table, and it would interact with your movements. And that is really good for getting the motor skills going. It's really good, and there's games on that, so people can get quite competitive. Suddenly, people are reaching out over a table, and you know, it promotes physical activity. It promotes mental well-being as well.
So, Ian, can you tell me a bit more about your sports?
Well, the sports roundup I've been doing since about January, February last year. But it's something Ian Pearson over at Hillside started when lockdown was on. And when I took over the road of sports and wellbeing, and didn't really have the time to do it when the centres opened up. So I took over that, and we show all the Leeds sport that we can. We show sports from all over the world. We show, we try, if anybody from Aspire does anything, I try and show that. So when we had the Learning Disability Super League, all those pictures would go up. Becky's always recorded the football tournaments for us, so we've been able to show highlights of the football tournament. I know the guys over at Pudsey who won the football tournament this year really enjoyed watching their highlights because they all joined us together with their trophy the week after, and we watched the final. It was really good. So the sports roundup kind of covers as everything really. There are certain things I show every week. I'll always show the Rhinos. I'll always show Leeds United. But then it's kind of filling it in with what people ask me about. So if somebody mentions a particular sport, darts and snooker get mentioned quite a lot. Or sometimes I'll show a sport and people will tell me how much they enjoyed it. I showed when the last Olympics was on, they had a thing called speed racing, where two people speed climbing, where two people climb up a wall and there's a button at the top they've got to hit.
So bad.
Did you see that?
It's fantastic.
Yeah, it was,
It
wasn't
was.
it? Well, that's something that because that's a new sport. As that gets bigger, you know, whenever that's on in the Olympics, I'll show that, and people did really enjoy that. I think people have mentioned they really like the winter sports because there's some fantastic stunts that they do in some of these events. But yeah, I'll show pretty much anything really that if it's interesting. There's other parts of sport that sometimes we show, like today. Today I say today when this is recorded. I showed some of the unsung heroes that are up for the Sports Personality of the Year award, which is lots of people who coach disability sports around the country, and they'd all made a little video about those. But yeah, the sports roundup covers quite a wide variety of stuff, and then there's the people that come on it as well, and sometimes they want to talk about what they've been doing, or if somebody's been to the football, maybe on the football tickets that we get, I'll get them on to talk about it. The guys from LDSL have come on and they've talked about what they do at the rugby and how much they've enjoyed it. It's really good. We've got kind of regular people that come on every week to watch the sports roundup, and it's all like part. It's part of one big. I don't even like to call it a meeting really. It's more of a social thing. So, and sometimes people get the chance to see friends that they haven't seen all week. But the sports roundup will always show as much sport as we can. Sometimes we go over time a little bit, but that's because people are enjoying it.
Mm-hmm. So, can you explain more about the events that we saw?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the big day for me, the big day of the year, although it's such a shame it didn't happen this year because it's very weather dependent, is the Aspire Athletics. Yeah. They were fantastic. I've always been involved in those events, so I used to help run the team for the East when we used to do that, and I think one year we managed to get 80 different people just from the East taking part. Wow. Oh, it was brilliant, and that's one of the things. We try and make it as inclusive as we can, so we have the wheelchair races, we have the running races, we have the throwing races. We try and make it so that the races are staggered so that people have got a good chance of winning their competition. As much as it's all about taking part, people like to win. Yeah. People like a medal. So I try and make it so as many people as possible can take part in the sports. We're going to try and do that a little bit earlier next year as well. So if the weather is bad, we've got more and more chances of getting it up and running. Because when it works, it's brilliant. I mean, have you been to that? Have you been to the John Charles Stadium?
Yeah, I've been there quite a few times.
Yeah.
And I took part in a few.
And it's fun, isn't it?
It's
a lot of fun, and it's one of those great social events where everybody comes together. Sometimes families come down to cheer people on. Sometimes people just want to cheer on their friends. Sometimes people want to beat their friends. Because let's be honest, it can be a little bit competitive. The football tournament's the same thing. I remember that when it first started. I got involved in that just from the team of where I was working. So I've done it enough times to know how the football should be running. We managed to get some really good teams come and join us this year. We've got Leeds Rhinos, even though it's not their sport, they sent the team down. Bradford City disability team, they sent the team down. People Matters, who always won anyway. Mm-hmm. So we're trying to get teams that can give them a good game, but we're trying to make it so everybody can have a go as well.
Is there in the athletics that you'd like to see more?
Sorry?
Is there anything that you'd like to see more in the athletics?
Is there anything more I'd like to see in the athletics?
So is there anything in the athletics that you'd like to see more?
That I like to see more than the others? Do you know what? That's a very good question actually. Do you know what I did miss this year, just because of how many people really want to take part, and it's a very traditional Yorkshire event, is the welly wanging. I get a list of names as long as my arm of people who want to do the welly wanging. I have to get enough people in to get a race sometimes. But for me, it's not a particular event. It's the people who surprise you when they get involved. Sure. So some people will come along and they'll only come along to watch. I'm not going to do that. No, I'm not ready for that. I'm not fit enough for that. But then we've been there a couple of hours and everyone's been cheering people on, and maybe they've seen a friend get a medal. And they'll come and they'll say, and you'll go over and say, well, look, we won short in this assisted walking race, or we won short in this wheelchair race. Would you like to take part? They're down there on the start line. And yeah, I've got some pictures that I really like from some of the sports events, and it's not just necessarily the people who win. Although I'm really impressed with the people who win every year, or at least come close every year. But it's the people who when you went, you didn't think they'd take part, and there they are with their medal on the track at the end. And it's all about making it more inclusive. And a lot of these ideas they don't come from me. They come from the people we support. They come from the staff as well. I mean, I got quite a lot of people said some good things about this accessible podium that we made this year, which we didn't actually get to use, but it's going to be there for next year. It's fantastic. It means wheelchairs can use it. People with walking frames. Nobody has to worry about getting up on a step, and it looks gold, silver, and bronze. It looks fantastic. That was all down to the staff here at Port Newton. They wanted to know there were people missing out on the podium, and is there a way we can do it? So we sat down and I worked out a way we could do it. So yeah, all these big events, as much as I might be the one that sends out the emails, everybody in Aspire takes part in that. Marie might come down and shout go at the starting line. Carol Benson's always down at the end waiting to write all the names of who's finished first, second and third. Declan from Leeds Rhinos, Learning Disability Super League team. He's the captain of the Rhinos, and he takes his responsibilities very seriously. And he offered to come down and support us. He was going to be our special guest awarding handing out the medals at the end. I mean, I couldn't do it on my own. I could try, but it'd be an absolute disaster. I need everybody else around me. I need the team like Tracy and Felicia Jodie going around with a camera taking all the fantastic photos.
Who needs to help us?
Or if it's the staff, just the staff from the bases, because I need to know who's in on those days, and people know who's going to take part. And one of the things that I did change, as much as it's all about taking part, but you watch the Olympics and people like to see that chest full of medals, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
2 golds, a silver and a bronze or whatever. So if people are in different events, we've made sure now that everybody gets a medal for taking part. It's that little gold medal that we always used to do, but everyone gets a big gold, silver or bronze medal if they do particularly well in their event.
So Ian, thank you very much for joining me as my special guest. It's not nervous as you think. Is there anything else you need to add on?
Well, thank you very much for inviting me, Chris. It's been a pleasure actually. I've enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. I suppose a couple of things we've got. When the Learning Disabilities Super League starts again next year, it'd be great to have even more people from Aspire taking part. And it's open to absolutely everybody. We've got there's a few women playing the team, and they would love to have more women come down and join. And the other thing as well, I suppose, is the football tickets are always available. We get 20 tickets for every game, every Leeds home game in the league. We get them for wheelchair users as well now. They do ambulant disabled tickets. So if you've got any problems about getting into the ground, we've got around that. All these tickets are there for as many people to go, as many Aspire customers to go as possible.
That's it for Curious Chats as well. Join us next month for some more Curious Chats. Thank you, goodbye.